One of the most overlooked aspects of delegating, creating systems, running a business that runs itself is your mindset. And in order to delegate well, it has to come from the feelings that you have when you're a CEO, when you're a manager, when you are a partner, when you're an owner of a business. How you feel internally about you, about the team, about the business, about life in general plays a gigantic role. And I rarely hear anybody talk about this, but it really is what makes or breaks success. And so your feelings create your reality when delegating, and how systems plus mindset equals freedom. Before we get into that, hello, my name is Dean Soto. I am the founder of Pro Sulum, and we have real human beings, virtual staff, who we call virtual systems architects, who are typically half the cost of your minimum wage worker in the United States, and they do so much more. And your typical virtual assistant, let's say your remote worker, you give them a task, they hopefully do the task, or they'll ask you a ton of questions, and they finish, and then you give them another task, and it's more and more questions, and you end up babysitting. With a virtual systems architect, they take your task, they document it into a step-by-step procedure, checklist, with pictures and everything like that. Then they do the task, and they do it again, and you don't have to babysit them, and they're not going to ask you a ton of questions, and they can then give that to their subordinate or their partner or whatever. And for every task that you give them, that's another task that you don't have to do. So one task a day, after 30 days, those are 30 tasks that you never ever have to do again. It's fully documented. You can, and everybody in your entire team can do that task because of how detailed it is. You can go put your grandma on your payroll and have your grandma start doing those tasks, because that's how detailed these things are. So if that sounds good to you, go to prosulum.com, prosulum.com/schedule if you want to actually get on a call, and we will be glad to help you automate your business. But this is a very important part of that automating your business, okay? Most delegation fails before it even starts. You know, when I was first starting to even understand how systems work, how to document into step-by-step procedures like Amazon does, like SpaceX does, like Tesla does, like Microsoft does, like Google does, I had to come to the realization that in order for me to give tasks, to give projects, things of that nature to other people, not only did I have to have the head knowledge of how to create systems, because I didn't even have that at the time. One of my buddies, his name was Danny, he turned me on to a book called Work the System by a guy named Sam Carpenter. And I sing its praises. I tried to get him on my podcast, and he said yes, and then he actually declined. And I could have been butthurt, but dude, that guy gave me so much in just that book, which I think he still offers for free at workthesystem.com. But I had to get the head knowledge of how to even create documented systems for my business in order to understand where to go. But it was once I had the head knowledge, I needed to then, from the inside out, start becoming the owner that could create systems that my team can follow, that I could delegate to, that I could create an organization around. And that was dependent on my internal state. And so your internal state determines your external results. And this is in everything. Think about your how often people go to the gym at the beginning of the year. How long do they typically last? Maybe a week or two, and then you never see them again. Externally, they got the gym membership, they got the meal plan, they got the workout plan, they have all of that. But internally, they feel like they need to have that afternoon snack. They feel like they don't have enough time. They feel like they're not necessarily worth the time, that this investment is not as good as an investment elsewhere. And there's nothing wrong with anything like that. There's nothing wrong with them. But the fact is, internally, they do not see themselves as that person who puts a priority on fitness. And that could be for a number of reasons. And so when it comes to systemizing your business, let me move this off to the side. I forgot how I can move it. Oh yeah, over here. Like this. Let's see. I think it's fine like that. So for your systems, for your business, it's not about the system, really. It's funny. Like I've had people who have got it up here. They come in and they're as clients and they're like, "Yeah, I understand what a VSA does. I understand that I need systems. Going to make this happen." And the first thing that they do when they get their virtual systems architect is they start giving them they'll just say, "Hey, can you go and research this thing?" And that's it. They don't say, "Hey, here's how you research companies for lead generation. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do this and you're going to do that and you're going to do this and you're going to do that." They're going to say, "Hey, research companies for lead generation." And so the virtual systems architect's like, okay, I'll try. And they fail because the person had something in their head and they did not express it. And part of that is because they internally didn't feel like they could give that leadership, that clear direction, saying, "This is the first thing you're going to do. You're going to go to crunchbase.com. You're actually, you know what? First thing you're going to do is you're going to open up your Chrome browser. And then when you open up your Chrome browser, you're going to go and click on the URL field up on top and you're going to type in crunchbase.com. And then you're going to press enter. And then you're going to go to when you're on Crunchbase, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the search bar and you're going to type in blah, blah, blah. And because they don't feel like they can lead that way. So it's not about the system. It's about your feelings about the system. It's about your feelings about delegating. You have to fix your feelings first. Systems come second. Are you the person who can give that clear direction? Because it's very easy to blame somebody else if you don't give clear direction. I told them to go do lead generation and they failed. But did you give them that clear direction? No. And often that's because there's some kind of block within you that says, "I cannot be a good leader." Your subconscious runs the show. You have your conscious mind, which is it's unselective. Or sorry, it's selective. And then you have your subconscious mind, which is unselective. And what that means is your conscious mind is what allows you to make choices, to see whether you want something or not. I want to go to the gym. It's New Year's. I want to get fit. That is you selectively choosing to start something. Your subconscious mind is the deeper creative force. Your subconscious mind is not selective. It doesn't care whether something is right or wrong, whether it's good for you or bad for you. It is there to make the thing happen. Okay? When you impress on your subconscious mind, it just makes it happen. And it is the most powerful force that you can use in your success or even in your failure. Dr. Joseph Murphy says, your subconscious mind creates according to the nature of your thoughts and beliefs. What you feel about your team's capabilities become their reality. What you feel about your capabilities become your reality. Okay? Think about the person who gets hypnotized. What's happening is the hypnotist is impressing on the person's subconscious mind that they are a chicken, and they start acting like a chicken. Think about friends or family that you have where you've told them, hey, you should do XYZ. They've told you that they wanted to lose weight, that they wanted to make more money, they wanted to get a new job, they wanted to do XYZ. And you said, hey, all you need to do is this. And they still live exactly the way that they say they didn't want to live, despite you showing them the way to make the change that they want. It's not you, and in some cases, it's not even them. Their subconscious mind, they've impressed upon it whatever it is that is keeping them stuck. People who are in a state of lack, who live paycheck to paycheck, who believe that money is scarce, who believe that they, in order to make more money, they need to get a better job. They are not magically going to one day be successful entrepreneurs. They're not going to be successful investors. And that's not saying that they can't. And that's not saying what they're doing currently is bad. It just is. Their subconscious mind has them in a place out of protection, out of what's worked for them. And while they might complain about it, it's worked for them so far. And it's kept them alive. It's kept them in a state where they feel comfortable. And it's neither is good or bad. I used to be so against people who were in that state and saying like, well, you need to do XYZ, you need to do this, you need to do that. You don't need to do anything. I have firmly resolved and changed that you are where you are because you're internally comfortable. And that could be good, that can be bad from a standpoint of your goals. If you want to be more fit, or if you want to have a business that is thriving and automated, yes, then you're not going to meet your goals if you feel internally that you can't develop systems, you can't delegate, that you can't find good talent, that nobody's going to be able to listen to what you're saying, nobody's going to be able to do what you do in your business. When your subconscious is saying that, you're not going to meet that goal because you're constantly going to thwart yourself. But that doesn't mean you're bad. That doesn't mean anything negative in the sense that you're just not meeting the target. Okay. So one of my heroes, Neville Goddard, says that ideas are impressed on the subconscious through the medium of feeling. Okay. When I was overseas and I did not have my business yet, I remember watching Gary Vaynerchuk, and this was in 2008 or 2007. No, it had to be 2008. No, it's either 2008, 2007 when he said this, or when he was speaking. I watched him and I always said, I want to do that. I want to be up on stage. And mind you, I had never spoken on stage to a lot of people before. And so at night, I would imagine myself giving these talks to hundreds of people. And at first, the feeling that I would get internally was butterflies and fear. And the interesting thing was I chose in my MOS for the Army, I chose to be an intelligence analyst, which meant that I had to get up in front of people all the time. And lo and behold, 2010, 11, 12, I started speaking in front of people. The things that I had imagined and the feelings that I had associated with that internally, the fear that I had in the very beginning, going all the way to confidence, feeling myself getting claps and praise and everything like that. The internal expressed outwardly. Spoke at the OC Social Media Summit, spoke at Latism, Latinos in Social Media. People from the White House were there. Spoke at transportation companies, spoke in front of many, many, many people for many different things. Prior to that, I did not have the internal capability for that. I would have been a wreck. But because the feeling that I had was that I was a good speaker, was that I could get up in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people, I was able to then turn that into a reality. You must feel successful in delegation. You must feel successful delegation before you see it in your external reality. This goes for everything. If you can feel that you are a good leader, if you can feel that your team loves you, if you can feel that you give clear direction, if you can feel that you can let your business run by itself and you don't have to jump in every time, it will start expressing. You have to assume the feeling of having a perfectly functioning team. And eventually that will happen. So this is why smart people fail at delegation. They focus on the how. Okay. They don't, and not the what and the why. Okay. They say, okay, this is how you do lead generation. And they feel that there's no way, typically, there's no way that I can express the steps that I take to do lead generation, the steps that I take to do marketing, the steps that I take to run a podcast. I remember for me, the very first thing that I delegated successfully with documented systems was my podcast. If you go and look at the older videos on this channel, the channel was actually called the Online Empire Academy. And it went from it being me and my business partner at the time to a guy named Josh, who I hired as the guy who did all of the podcast interviews, all of the YouTube interviews and things like that. And he would go out and he would find people to interview, and you'd see him in probably like 30, I'm guessing like 10, 15, 30 different videos. And that was at a time when people said, no, there's no way you can delegate podcasts. But he had it set up to find people for the podcast, set up the podcast itself, set up the video, set up the post-production, set up everything so that I literally had to do nothing with the podcast. once I felt that it was possible, then the how started. I felt myself just watching him, watching somebody else doing the podcast, and it turned into reality. And that's how it is with my business now. I feel my team crushing it on a day-to-day basis, loving their work, loving our clients, communicating, making things bigger and better every single day. And that's when the systems and the delegation and the expansion of business start happening. So systems without soul equals failure. Okay. Systems work when your internal state aligns with them. You don't just build system to because it's something that you read and you saw that you should do. No, when you build systems, it should be something that you already know works, because you internally have either seen it work or you have a feeling that it's going to work. Like a process with the wrong mindset is just a disaster. You're going to have things all over the place. It's just not going to work. Even the best virtual systems architect can't overcome your limiting beliefs about delegation. This is why the ones who are successful, who have been with us 5 or plus years, are those who believe that they can delegate, that they can have a business that runs without them. They then start taking off their plate the things that most people think they can't take off their plate. That could be scheduling prospect calls. That could be back and forth with customers. That could be onboarding. That could be customer retention. That could be getting referrals. That can be all these different things. And when they believe that they can do that, then they show via a video how to make that actually happen. Let me move this over here so you can see. They show how that can actually, they show how that happens, how to do it. And then it gets documented. And then the virtual systems architect or the employee or whoever does it, and it becomes a seamless part of the actual operations of the business. You need to learn to delegate authority to your subconscious mind. It knows all. Your subconscious mind, the way you do this, the easy way to do this, is at night when you're going to bed. And I know this sounds crazy. Imagine yourself having what you want, like already having it. So for me, it was people clapping and enjoying, not that I was giving the speech, but that they were clapping. That implies that I had given a good talk. For me, I remember and I give this a lot, I remember that I was in my office on the hardwood floor, imagining the exact dollar amount that I wanted in my business. And it came true. And this was a heck of a lot of money. Okay. Something that most people would think is insane and was not going to happen, especially in my family. Program your subconscious mind for success. When you do that and you impress your subconscious mind with successful delegation, that's what's going to win this for you. Visualize your team executing flawlessly before you delegate. Your subconscious will create the path. So at night, you need to start seeing yourself as that leader. You don't have anybody working for you now? Imagine yourself with 5 people in your core team, and you're just finishing up a successful staff meeting. Imagine yourself on the beach, looking at an email that comes in of something getting handled that you think that you can only handle. Like for me, it was sales. I never built a sales team before, but now I see a sale come in and it was from one of my sales guys. And how do they know how to sell? Because they have sales scripts, they have a sales process, they have all of those different things. But I had to imagine it first. I had to think about it first and be it first. Act as if your team is already perfect. Okay, Neville Goddard taught that assumption is the foundation of reality. When applied to leadership, this principle transforms teams. What you feel you are always dominates what you feel you would like to be. Okay? You need to feel like you are a specific way, not what you want to be. Because if you want something, if you feel like you want something, like if you imagine that you want something, that implies that you don't have it. And you'll be in this constant state of wanting. I want to have systems and documented processes and automation and all this thing, and you feel like you want it, or you say that you want it, even like if you're into affirmations or anything like that, you say, I want to have beautiful, awesome systems that work without me. Well, the fact that you say that you want it, your subconscious mind will say, great, I will give that to you. I will give you the wanting of those things in perpetuity. But if you say that I have, if you act as though you have in your mind before you go to bed, I have a business that runs without me without fail. My business is always working for me. You imagine your team ending a meeting saying, "Thank you so much for creating that video. We're going to document it right now." This is how you make changes. Assume your team's competence and they'll rise to meet it. Your belief in their capability creates the space for their excellence. And when you believe that you have it, it will become yours. Even in the Bible, it says that. When you pray, Jesus says, when you pray, believe you have it and you will receive it. So you need to check your internal state, okay? Your internal feelings in general. Like, how do you feel about the process that you're going to share? How do you feel about, do you have this feeling that nobody's going to be able to do it? You need to change that. Nobody can do lead generation like I do. No one can outreach to clients like I can do. No one can reach out to people to be on my podcast like I do. You need to change that, because you're going to then build a system and you're going to delegate in a way. If you don't change it, you're going to delegate in a way that sabotages. If you do change your internal feeling about it, then you're going to create a system that works and you're going to have an external result that is freaking awesome. Before every delegation, ask, what am I feeling about this? Am I feeling anxiety? Am I feeling confidence? Feeling control? What am I feeling? And if you need to make big changes, sleep on it and imagine yourself right before going to bed. So it hits your subconscious mind. That dreamlike state, that middle way state hits your subconscious mind in the way that you want it to hit. You need to build systems that feel right. Okay. Don't just build a system because you heard that this is what you're supposed to do. Build a system that works. This is why I always tell people who become clients, I say right up front, I'm like, you take the one thing off your plate that is either going to give you a massive amount of time back, so then you can go be creative, do whatever you want, or makes you a lot of money already, so that you can have it making money without you. That's how our model works, because it addresses both system and psychology, okay? The right systems support your internal state. They don't fight against it. You need to You need to feel good about the system. The people that come in and they're like, "I don't do social media, and so I need somebody to do social media for me, and I and so if you can give me somebody who's good at social media, then we'll be all good." No, it doesn't work that way. If you don't do social media right now and you have no idea what you're doing, you're not gonna find somebody who's just gonna be awesome at social media and go. People pay, like, real social media experts who will tell you no to your face because they already know that you're not going to be that good client to begin with. They pay them a lot of sometimes even multiple six figures to think that you're going to get a expert come in and just magically handle everything for you. It's not gonna happen. I don't care who you are. I don't know care who you hire unless you're paying 150, 200, maybe $300,000 a year, okay? And a lot of those people are gonna tell you, "No, it's not gonna work for you because you just don't have the right mindset." Those are the people who fail. The ones who are successful, they go and say they imagine themselves, "Okay, what's working for me right now?" Right now, I do have a good social media presence. It's with I what's done really well is me when I DM people in this fashion. Then they take that system, they imagine ahead of time success. Oh my gosh, I got 10 new appointments and I didn't have to do anything. And it was with the exact system, the exact thing that I normally do, but I didn't do it. And then they go in knowing that it's possible, and they show the VSA or they show their employee or whatever how to do the thing. It gets documented, and guess what? Lo and behold, it actually worked. We have a client who works. I'm not going to say the exact industry. It's a tech industry where they have their VSA making sales in a very specific niche, and they didn't believe they could do it. And they all they did was sorry, they didn't I shouldn't say they didn't believe they could do it. They initially didn't believe they could do it. They started, imagining what was possible and imagining from the end, and then from there, they hired their VSA, and lo and behold, they're making that VSA is making more sales than the owner. So, this is how it works. A VSA clones your best moves while you maintain the confidence that everything is handled correctly. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a VSA, it can be an employee, it could be whatever. But this all comes down to the same thing. Your team becomes what you believe. Okay. Your consistent internal state shapes team performance over the time. A change of feeling is a change in destiny. This is why some leaders consistently build great teams across different organizations. Their belief creates reality. This is why Mark Cuban and all the sharks can go into all these different businesses, pay to have a cut, and then they go in and they transform the businesses as well. They have the time to do it. The Marcus Lemonis, when he goes in, changes the people, process, and profit, right? Or people, process, and product, and that's what makes the profit. Okay, he has time to do it because he understands and he believes, and his mindset is if he can get the right people in place, the right process and in place, and has the right product, works every time. That is a belief system. You have to then let go to grow. Your need to control stems from fear-based feelings. You have to trust the system, trust the process, trust your people. Stop checking and start trusting. This only comes from documented processes. Okay. You can get to the point where you can see things running Where did the process break down here? Where's the process doing well here? Perfect is the enemy of delegated. So you have to accept an 80% execution to gain 100% of your time back. Okay. What that means is that you're going to have that 80/20. You create the process, you let it go, you let it do its thing. It might not be 100% correct. Then you fix and you tweak. It gets to 85%. Tweak gets to 90. Tweak gets to 95. Tweak gets to 98. Tweak gets to 100%. It's always about the 80/20. Like when I started hiring my sales team, some salespeople get close 20% of the time, some close 60, some close 80. For me, I was probably about 60%. And then I would have salespeople who closed 20%, and then I'd have to train them up. Now, of those 20%, let's say they had 20 calls. I didn't have to make those calls, but I can train them and get them to 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, 70%, right? I didn't have to make those calls. I can then be free of those hours and hours and hours doing whatever I want. But I believed that they could get to 60%, 70%, 80%, right, of a close rate. Feeling, then the system, then the action. Simple framework. What's your feeling first about what you're about to delegate? If you have no idea what you're doing and you're just hoping, then you need to feel it first. What would it look like to have a successful social media marketing system? What would it feel like to have have speaking engagements just appear on your calendar because you're not the one doing it? It's the VSA or it's the employee or whatever. Then you build the system that supports that feeling. And then you are acting from that assumed state. That assumed state becomes a reality. Start with the feeling, not the system. Okay. It's so funny. Like I have friends I have one friend in particular, super nice guy, and he speaks a lot in various places. But for years, I've mentioned that he should just have someone booking places for him. And it's nothing against him, but until the mindset of being able to let go and just see calendar bookings happen for speaking engagements, and these speaking engagements can be anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000, maybe even more per engagement. To have that feeling of, oh, okay, cool. I have three speaking engagements booked. I didn't have to do anything for it. It's very hard for that person to have that. I actually know multiple people like that. They feel like they need to be out there hustling. Feel like they couldn't do it. They need to make that connection. But you look at the best speakers in the world, Michael Hyatt, you look at Gary Vaynerchuk, you look at, are they the ones that are setting those appointments? Nope. He's just saying, where do I need to be? I'm in New York. Okay. And I have 3 different engagements in 3 days. Okay, cool. Sounds good. $20,000 each. Sweet. Made $60,000 in 3 days. Perfect. Your internal state, your feeling determines your reality with everything. And once you're ready to take what you know to be true internally, dwell on it, of what you know your business can be, and really live in the end at night when you're about to go to sleep, really live in the end of what you want your day to day to be, then give us a call. When you're ready, uh, would love to have you as a client. ProSolum's virtual systems architects. We handle the systems while you master the mindset. Okay. Together, we'll help you scale faster, double your profits, and reduce your workload by up to 80%. And that's no joke. That's why I say to the people who do have the right mindset, one task. What's that one task that's either going to make you a massive amount of money that you don't have to do anything for, or save you a massive amount of time? And those who do that, guess what? They experience it. Once they have that internally, that, yeah, this is what I want to delegate. This is what I want to offload right away. They do it and they experience it in the actual real world. You can find out more by going to prosolum.com/schedule and get on a call with one of our strategists. And no matter what, you're going to leave off better than you were on the call. So systems plus outsourcing equal freedom when your internal state aligns. Okay. It's not a magic pill. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you're building. You have to believe and assume the end of how it's going to look, what it's going to do, and so on and so forth. And it will come to fruition. Our best clients, our best customers are the ones who already had the end in mind. They already knew exactly what they wanted to offload. They already knew what it was going to look like, what it was going to feel like, and they believed in themselves and they made it happen. So this goes for everything, not just business. This is relationships. This is education and everything like that. But if you're ready, if you own a business, you're ready to delegate the right way, you're ready to build systems and build documented systems and automate your business so where you can make money while you sleep, then give us a call. Not give us a call. We'll schedule a discovery call. Prosolum.com/schedule. And this is Dean Soto. I will see you in the next video.